Welcome back to the Lady the F Up podcast. Today I'm sitting down with one of Lexi Ward's client groups. It's three women who have been friends for a long time. They're not just besties, but they're also partners in years long experiment of dieting, restricting, and chasing that number. We're going to be talking about how it started, what they believed, and how it all played out. This is not a shame session. It's an honest look at diet culture and what happens when you try to shrink your body while life is begging you to live bigger. So, I want to say thank you for joining us. Settle in. Let's crack open the myths. Let's talk about the mindset. And this is a live, open forum tonight, so we will welcome questions. So, welcome, Lexi, and thank you so much for bringing your clients on today.
Thanks, Deb. Oh, I'm so excited to hear this because I have the pleasure of working with these three wonderful women, some for a little bit longer than the other. But the reason that I reached out to you being like, hey, I want to bring on Sherry and Lise and Beth because they are a friend group who is killing it together. And this is a like true testament of how powerful your circle is and how you see one person changing. You're like, oh, well, what are you doing? And then it builds and builds and builds. And you have these three incredible women who are so consistent, like week after week, their macros are hit, their workouts are done, they are communicating, they're sending form review videos if applicable. They're taking that feedback and they're showing up better week over week. And that's something that is really rare when you step into a fitness journey and you're like, okay, I'm going to try and do this on my own. You don't really have that core circle. So I just wanted to see what it was like to watch the evolution of each other and support each other. So I would love to start with Sherry because Sherry, you and I were the first two to connect. Um, Tell us how you found out about Lady the F Up first and kind of your journey and how that's been so far.
Thank you. I just wanted to acknowledge and thank you both for having me on and having my friends on as well too. I'm very honored and eternally grateful to Lady the Fuck Up. And especially to Lexi, she's my coach and she's the one I'm in communication with, I think, the most out of my life. And so I think it's pretty freaking cool to be on here. So I'm very grateful. So thank you. My Lady the Fuck Up Awakening was in about 2022. I had a side business, spray tanning, and is another client of Lady the Fuck Up who runs non-for-profit bodybuilding. And she had approached my partner and I, who we were spray tanning, if we wanted to help. And so I was like, yeah, for sure. What is this bodybuilding thing? And because I had only come from either Muay Thai or I had only come from cycling. And it was like those two extremes. It was never anything in the middle. It was like either I'm like punching stuff or I'm doing all the hits, all the cycling, burning my body out. That was my mentality, burn off the fat. And then so I had spray tanned a few Lady the Fuck Up clients actually. And oddly enough, like I hadn't met Lexi at that time, but she was around, and I remember asking the facilitator of the competition, being like, "What is this bodybuilding thing?" And like, I only come from like an '80s version of it, and it was male dominated, and it was like you had to get big, and it was I don't know, it was just like in my mind I had this certain picture of it, and she was like, "Hey, no, it's like actually something really cool, and it's a community of us, and it's women, and we support each other," and I'm like, well, this sounds interesting. And, could I be that one day? And so then I was like, well, who's your coach? And she told me it was Lexi. And so then I reached out to Lexi and, that was in 2022. And the reason I had done it is because I was 45 in 2022. My lovely husband had taken me and my daughter to celebrate, kind of like he's second relationship, our time together. It was like our 10-year anniversary of us all being together. So we went to Miami and I remember seeing a picture of me um that he had taken, and I was like, what? This isn't making sense. Like, why am I burning myself out with all this hit and cardio, and it's supposed to make me strong and it's supposed to make me a certain way. Why am I not attaining a certain look? And and then I didn't really connect the dots about, I just never thought women would lift weights. I don't know why. And then so reached out to Lexi, and so it's been since 2022. I've been with Lexi. I've been, all in on some things, and then I went on the alumni for a bit, and then last year I was just like, okay, like I think it's time to pull the trigger, and I think I want to try my first competition. And she was like, hell yeah, okay, let's go. And and she's been like every week, we're meeting. It's like we're focusing on what I'm eating. I never thought in my wildest dreams the amount of food I'd be eating today. I come from a place where food was used as punishment. So some days, like realistically, I have a hard time swallowing food still. And it's because I want to keep myself small. I want to keep myself, I don't want to be seen. And so I'm kind of like Lady the Fuck Up is like, I heard Lee's and Beth, just saying is like undoing all this stuff that has been hardwired in my brain for so many years, and it feels completely scary. I was very uncomfortable last week with myself because I think some neurons are rewiring in my brain about some things, and I can reach out to Lexi, I can reach out to Lise, I can reach out to Beth, and like all these women bring me back down and ground me, and they all have different aspects of them that help me keep moving forward. And I've never had that in any gym I've taught at. I've never had that in any like cycling community. It was competitive, and it was just a weird kind of community that I never really fit in. And I feel at home in the gym today lifting weights. Um I'm starting to expose my body by in bikinis, and like trying that out feels uncomfortable, but it's like all these things I'm doing, and it's just making me a stronger person, I feel like. So yeah, I don't know. That's it in a nutshell. I feel like I went on a little too long.
And what
Um,
I love about your process, Sherry, is you have taken the long haul. Like we started together in 2022, it's now 2025. You have never come to me being like, okay, I want to get like super shreddy and let's get into a cut. You have been, I want to build muscle, I want to build muscle, I want to build muscle, I want to build muscle. And putting your side by sides, those 3 years apart, you now have that hourglass shape, or you have the capped delts in the back and your waist comes in. And when we tossed on heels for the first time, I was like, she has glutes. Like it's hard to see the posed bikini competitor glutes when you're not in heels and you're not in that specific shape, but really starting to see that and being like, okay, we have a solid foundation that you have built over the years to now tweak those proportions and just like finesse the shape that we are creating going into next year. And you are fully embracing the builds. And when I call you out on your shit, being like, look, you're not dedicating yourself to the process, or you're fueling yourself with inflammatory foods, you're like, yep, I am. You accept the or you accept the consequences of those choices, and you accept responsibility and you change it and you come back better week over week.
mm, thanks, Lexi.
Can you provide a little bit of background, Sherry, just on like the dinners that you guys have? Because I think that's
Mm.
also super special that you guys see each other so regularly, and that's like regular in-person connection as well. I'm sure Lise and Beth were able to like see you transform in the decisions that you were making, be like, hey, and that kind of sparked a little bit of inspiration.
Yeah, we meet once a month. We go to this restaurant in Ottawa called Pure Kitchen. It's vegan, so it's like gluten friendly, dairy friendly, like all that good stuff. And we sit and we talk for 2 hours. And we have our set seat, and there was only one time so far that we went in and someone had taken our seat, and we kind of were like, This is what do we do? This is like we don't know where to sit." And they moved, so everything was fine after. But it's pretty freaking cool because we sit and like even today we were talking about carbs. Some of us need to up our carbs, and like, okay, what are you doing to keep some fiber, keep some carbs, either lower fiber, but have some carbs. And so it's like we're always kind of comparing and recipes, we're shooting each other recipes. What else are we doing? Just supporting each other. Like there's some weeks we feel down, and for myself, I get pretty hormonal. And these two lift me up. They're like, "You fucking got this." And they remind me a lot of the time, because a lot of the time I'm like, I don't want to bother people. Like, I don't want to, I don't, I'm too much. And they remind me, I'm like, we're on your team. Whatever you text us, call us, we're here for you. And I'm pretty grateful for that, because even through the connection of like, what are you working out this round, and what are you doing this round? And all of us have different journeys, but we're all connected by Lady the Fuck Up, and fueling, like healthy fueling our bodies. And also kind of, it's interesting to each hear Lee's and Beth's sides of the story of like their origins and how they related to food. And there's there's differences, but there's always like a common theme, and so it's pretty cool. I'm pretty grateful for these two and Lady the Fuck Up. So yeah.
Love it. So, Lise, you were second in this trio to join, and you actually joined earlier this year, so March of 2025. So, in the time where Sherry was in this process and doing her things, like what was it that you noticed that made you brave enough eventually to reach out and be like, I want to do it too?
Yeah, thanks, Lexi. And thank you, Deb, for having us. I feel like I know you because I've watched so many of the info sessions and I realized I've actually never spoken to you before. So,
Nice to meet you.
one of the things, nice to meet you. One of the things actually that Sherry and Beth and I do in our friend circle is we exchange gratitude lists, just like a little way to keep in touch and text, like day to day, like just something that we're grateful for. And I remember where I was when Sherry sent me a gratitude that was actually about you, Lexi. I was on the beach in Mexico, and I was feeling like very uncomfortable in my own skin at that time. I was really struggling like with where I was at. I was like completely covered on the beach, like not an inch of skin showing. And I remember Sherry just texting like how grateful she was for Lady the F Up and specifically Lexi for the freedom she felt being in her body to like take up space in a new way that she had never done before. I'm gonna cry. And it was just like really, really beautiful to me to like hear about this transformation and Sherry's, gosh, you can tell I'm hormonally, Sherry's like newfound feeling in her own body. And so I asked her a little bit about it. She had never really been like pushy or preachy or anything else about what she was doing. She was just like, she just to me just looked good, seemed really confident. But it like opened the door and I asked her for more information. She sent me some of the links and stuff to Lady the F Up, like the website. I don't have social media. So yeah, and I spent the rest of that vacation like thinking about calling Lexi and like work and being like, yeah, I'm ready to do this. Like I need something needs to change. And it just opened that door for me. And I remember like it was so impactful. Like I remember where I was and I remember thinking about it and I remember like being like exactly where I was in the world when that happened. And that's what made me decide to join Lady the F Up. And I made like that discovery call or that first 15-minute call with Lexi like the day I got back from vacation. And yeah, I've been with Lady the F Up ever since.
Please, can you just share a little bit about your history when it comes to tracking your food and working with a coach previously and that restriction that was there, and then also the health journey that you've gone through as well?
Sure. Yeah, I'll try not to like go on about it forever. I think for me, it all came online during puberty. I was also doing competitive level gymnastics. I didn't stay competitive for very long, but it was just like that moment where I clued in that like food and my body and my performance were all linked. Like up until that point, I had never really made that connection. And like right away, there was like shame about certain foods and like pressure and body image stuff that was ingrained really, really early. And so I did start restricting, like without really knowing what I was doing as a teenager. And I had a really, really unhealthy lifestyle. Like I did a lot of drugs. I drank a lot. I didn't sleep well. Like I had a really rough teen years. Like I rebelled. It was not good. But I decided to kind of get myself together when I was 20. And when I did that, like I was really underweight because of the lifestyle I had been leading. And so inevitably there was like healthy weight gain, right? But I found that very, very challenging. And part of all of it was this back and forth with like ultra processed foods. So like you wouldn't get me to eat a vegetable to save my life. And I just had very black and white thinking around like on the wagon, off the wagon eating. But I really didn't know how to feed myself. I really struggled knowing how to fuel my body. And it wasn't until I moved away to go to university that I started using my fitness pal to like track calories. But I had like no knowledge of nutrition and it was ultra processed food. So it'd be like coffee and Boston cream donuts. But as long as I only ate 1,200 calories a day, it was okay, right? Like I didn't have any of the knowledge. And then while I was in university, I went through some trauma that like I was so angry, I needed something, and I started going to the gym. And like that was a huge godsend to me because I did thrive in that environment of lifting weights. But again, I didn't really know what I was doing, and I jumped through a lot of different programs and trainers and fads and stuff, none of which were really in hindsight like what I needed. And it was never linking like proper fuel with movement the way Lady the F-Up does. Like I was always under eating or eating the wrong foods and like tracking, but not in a way that was healthy. I ended up meeting a coach who got me into bodybuilding in like my mid 20s. And it was like the old school bodybuilding. So when I say that, I don't mean what Lady the F-Up is offering. This was like you eat chicken and broccoli and egg whites every day, the exact same meal. It was like you have a program and you follow it, like even if you're crying on the gym floor, like that was just, this is your workout program. It included ultra processed foods. So like some of the allowances were like that free Cool Whip and stuff, or like just really awful high processed foods. And it also came with cheat days. So like I would restrict. And then when cheat days happened, I started basically binge eating. And even though, yeah, I had turned to ultra processed foods before for like comfort, this kind of amplified it in a way where I was definitely like I was overeating. I was eating more than I needed to because of the restriction. And so I did kind of essentially like bodybuilding level for a photo shoot and into a competition. And it was like quite restrictive and quite intense. And when I like immediately went off of that, my coach didn't bring me through a reverse diet. Wasn't prepared for a reverse diet. I basically had made a list of all the foods I wanted to eat as soon as the photo shoot was done. And I did. And I gained a ton of weight within the next month after. And then I got pregnant. I want to say maybe 3 or 4 months after that photo shoot, and I gained 65 pounds. So, yeah, it kind of set, like doing that with that coach the way it did, got me into this also black and white thinking of like, there's only one way to like get lean. There's only one way to work out in the gym. There's only one way to track. It's like you only get chicken and broccoli. You can only do it this one way. And then it came with the binge eating. And it was like a really bad blueprint to have in my head. So after that, I went through these cycles of like wanting to meet goals and applying kind of what I knew, maybe smashing those goals, but then very quickly falling off the wagon because I didn't know anything about the knowledge that Lexi has taught me about, like the dopamine cliff that you fall off of after you meet a goal, or, you know, like what it's like just, it's like a totally different approach with Lady the Fuck Up. So even just the video that's about reverse dieting and diet breaks and refeeds and cheat days, like that was life changing for me because I was like, oh my God, like, of course I've been struggling. Like, of course I've had this history. But what happened kind of between the time I got pregnant to when I reached out to Lady the F-Up was that like I got stuck in this cycle of, I don't want to call it yo-yo dieting, but it would be like I'd smash a goal and I'd go really restrictive and I'd burn myself out and I'd go too hard. And I never changed my macros or any of the meals. Like it was always that chicken and broccoli. And then I'd get sick and I'd get tired and I wouldn't be able to do the workouts and I'd rely on cardio. And it just got more and more unhealthy, where I used to be able to do the cycle over months and then it started being over weeks and then it started being like days, right? Like on the wagon, off the wagon, on the wagon, off the wagon. And it was just kind of oscillating between pretty much restrictive eating and ultra processed foods. So it really wasn't working for me. I had at one point kind of lost the weight about 2.5 years ago and was at like a healthy BMI. And then I was diagnosed with breast cancer. Not shocking with all the ultra processed foods that I ate in my life. Like just the way I treated my body for so long. But like even hormonally, like I had a lot of hormonal issues. So it was really challenging when I was diagnosed because I started eating. Like I was like, well, might as well go out to eat the kid. Like life's short, right? Might as well have birthday cake. Life's short. And it made me realize that I actually have a link between food choices and stress that I never really looked at or dealt with before. And then that being paired with having multiple surgeries where afterwards, like I slept in a recliner in my basement for 2 months after I had my mastectomy. And like it took me probably almost 3 months just to be able to like raise my arms up to my ear. So it was a big journey of recovery. And in that time, not moving and like turning to like bagel because I was sad. I gained a lot of weight again. And so when I joined Lady the F-Up, like I was obese, and like in terms of health, my doctors, you know, they told me that gaining a significant amount of weight with a cancer diagnosis that's hormonally sensitive, it actually puts me at way higher risk So I knew I had to do something about it, and I was just really struggling. And I had been in therapy for specifically like exercise, food, and body image related issues for a year, because I would obsess about it. I'm like, if I just figure out the right combination of cardio and food, and if I just meal plan enough, if I just do the right thing, like I'll be able to control this. But it felt really out of control. Like I wasn't doing a good job managing it. And so, like, for me, having someone like Lexi, who has the knowledge and makes the decisions, who can either tell me when to take it easy sometimes when I want to push myself through, or tell me, to push me out of my comfort zone a little bit, or to go a little bit longer, a little bit shorter. Like, those kind of judgment calls were the things that, like, I can't do for me, no matter how much knowledge or anything else that I think I have. Like, I don't have nearly as much, but yeah. So health wise, I can tell my doctors now that I've lost like 15% of my body weight, I think, and that I have an almost like healthy BMI again. And that's huge because it's like some of the medication they want me to take is linked to like hormones, but like just losing extra body fat that like estrogen sits in that fat is doing something similar to what pharmaceuticals would do. Eating whole foods, just exercising reduces my risk of breast cancer. If I combine it all, like if I combine like my body composition, combined with exercising every day, combined with eating whole foods, combined with getting enough sleep, combined with drinking all the water, like all the things that Lady the F preaches and encourages and makes sure is like on point, and taking my vitamins, like all of those things, lifestyle wise, it's like my risk of reoccurrence like dwindles, right? It's not super high to begin with, but yeah, so that's my health journey, and that's my like food and exercise journey. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Thanks for listening.
And one thing I just want to highlight there is you were in therapy for over a year and you have now been transitioned to as needed, no regular appointments because your body image has improved so much, as has your relationship with food and with training. And you actually rest and recover when you're unwell, which is something that we had to work very hard on. So just a testament to the effort that you have put into yourself.
I would like
Yeah,
to say
and I couldn't.
something to you, Lise, as well, and you making that connection and about maintaining a healthy body fat percentage is so important that I don't think a lot of people, not just women, realize that in 2019 is when the American and Canadian Cancer Society put obesity as a risk factor across the board. So every single type of cancer. So, we always knew like don't smoke, don't overdrink, eat your fruits and vegetables. And so when you mentioned about like the processed food and everything, first of all, you should never beat yourself up because there's people that eat processed food and live to be 100, right? Sometimes it's just shitty luck of the draw. But our clients that, they don't realize that by maintaining a healthy body fat composition, they actually lower the risk of all cancers, not just the hormone sensitive ones, and cancers that can be easily, taken care of. Like colorectal cancer, very high risk, very high risk. And I have clients that have had 3 and 4 diagnoses, and they are still struggling to get their body weight under control. So I want to just congratulate you for that because we all think, oh, if I got the bad diagnosis, I would do it. But not everybody does. So good for you because that's not an easy thing to do.
Thank you, Deb. I mean, I couldn't have done it without Lexi, and honestly, Sherry and Beth as well. Like, I feel like we're all in this together. It's not something I do by myself. It's anytime anything comes up or a struggle or whatever, I know I have like a whole bunch of women that I can go to. And yeah, the hormonal stuff is crazy because like I was experiencing like really bad PMS, PMDD symptoms. I didn't have any libido. Like there was all a slew of different hormonal stuff that was going on with the breast cancer, and like that's all shifted along with my body composition. Like I don't really have bad symptoms for PMS these days. I don't like I have libido again. Like I have intimacy with my husband, which feels like a small miracle. Just like things have really shifted for the better, even not just the cancer front. But like I can't wait to have a doctor's appointment. You go in and tell my oncologist, and might be like, so there in your face.
When Lise first joined me, I was like, okay, with this history of restricting and binging, and we need to teach balance first, and we are not going anywhere into a calorie deficit anytime soon. So we started her off with a little bit of a reverse diet, and then we hovered around maintenance, and scale change maybe like five. No, hold on, let me pull up your chart here. Yeah, it was like 5-ish pounds until June. And I was like, okay, we've been around maintenance for 4-ish months. Your body recomposition has happened. You have increased your muscle quality. Now we're going to get into a cut. And in that cut, she dropped 15 pounds over the summer. Summer is one of the hardest times for people to lose fat because of social obligations and blah, 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 blah. But she's damn consistent. We are now in the second reverse diet after the cut. Food is going up. She's also running a 5K, but continuing to see really, really positive just body composition changes without having to do crazy amounts of cardio or have food too low for too long. Um, Totally different process for each of these, but totally different process compared to Beth. And Beth and I have been working together since the end of June. So it's been a short amount of time so far. She also does powerlifting. She's got a powerlifting coach, and I do just nutrition with her. But I remember seeing her photos and going through her training program that her coach gives her week over week, being like, this woman is under eating, and she is absolutely someone that I can get to 500 grams of carbohydrates. And it is currently at the end of September. So end of July, end of August, end of September. In 3 months, we have brought her carbs up to 425 grams. I had her pull a cardio day. She's training 4 days a week. And yeah, Beth, how does it feel to eat this much compared to what you were doing before?
Well, okay, so to be honest, I come from the very same as Sherry, same as Lee's, the restrictive mindset, and carbs are bad, always bad. So like I haven't allowed myself to eat a bowl of pasta. I don't I don't remember the last time that I ate a bowl of pasta. And tonight I made myself a bowl of gluten-free pasta with ground beef and I dehydrate my own tomatoes. I made a pesto sauce and it was delicious. And I'm going to have it again tomorrow. You know why? Because I get to eat 425 grams of carbs a day. And boy, oh boy, is it ever hard at first because so Lexi was going through my food diary. She's like, why are you eating cucumbers? She's like, cucumbers, nothing. Like you're just filling your stomach up, And I'm just like, but I like it. So yeah, it's just like about food choices because I was finding that I was just like overfilling myself and just feeling like sluggish and disgusting. So today it's like I just ate food that was I've never allowed myself to eat the foods that have higher carbs because I've just been conditioned to eat vegetables over carbs. And like my whole journey is very similar to Lisa's in the sense like this all started for me a long time ago. I can remember being like 10 years old and wanting to lose weight. I can remember I struggled with weight my whole life. I tried boot camps and then I'd lose a ton of weight, but I was also a heavy drinker and drug user. And it wasn't until I was 25 at like 175 pounds that it's like that I kind of turned my life around. And it was like I didn't have any money to pay for a trainer. And then it's like to even just find information online. I was always kind of going to the gym or doing something that was, made me active. Like I like actually Sherry and I used to do like kickboxing together. And so I did that for a long time, but it was the same thing. It was just cardio. So I was always this kind of like plump kind of girl who's trying to starve herself, but doing shit ton of kickboxing every week. And like I didn't understand why I still couldn't lose fat. And then it wasn't until I quit doing kickboxing and then I started doing CrossFit when my body changed completely and I lost all my body fat. Problem there was that I ended up getting injured a lot. Now that's not for everybody. And CrossFit has a community aspect to it, but the gym that I was going to, it was super, super toxic. Women were not friends with women. And then there was a nutritionist that everybody got referred to who I started to go see. And I ended up I've always had issues like a disordered relationship with food, but seeing this guy, I was with him for a few years. And yes, my body changed a lot. I learned a lot more about food, but I also developed like I was under eating. And I remember going to him and I stopped having my period. And I remember I went to him and I'm like, listen, this is not okay. Like I am not okay. And I'm like, you need to educate yourself about women and like what's going on for women's bodies and how things get affected and eating disorders and how to recognize them in people. I'm like, because I'm not okay. And I remember I sent him this big long email outlining all the things of how I felt. And he was just like, yeah, thanks for letting me know. And that was it. And that was probably about 4 years ago. And then I decided the pandemic happened, quit doing CrossFit, just started doing powerlifting exclusively. But because I was doing a lot of it, sort of, it wasn't programming it myself. I was doing it through the sort of like this affiliate app I was using. But then I was just like adding my own cardio onto it because I always feel like you got to do more cardio. It's like, if ever I always feel like I'm not doing enough. And unless somebody is telling me stop, I'm just gonna keep going, or thinking I need to do one more set, or like I need to go run a little bit longer, or make this Metcon a little harder, or whatever. So one thing I've how did this where did I go from there? So yeah, powerlifting. My goal has been to be able to lift 300 pounds for my deadlift. I've been at 295 for quite a while now, and by working with a coach, there was something that just wasn't fitting right. Like I was feeling super, super bloated and just like not okay. And it was through these like Sherry, Lisa, and I getting together. And Sherry, like Lisa said, Sherry never. She never preached. She was never like, hey, you guys got to do this. It was just kind of like dropped little like tidbits, just like, oh, hey, this is what I'm doing. And then we're like, oh, tell me more. And then Lee started doing it. So I was like, oh, but I was under the impression that Lady the Fuck Up was only for bodybuilding and didn't do just nutrition. And it wasn't until I reached out to Lady the Fuck Up and I had my first discovery call with Lexi, and she was like, yeah, we can do that. And I was like, oh, really? That's great. So yeah, like my body changed completely in like 2 months. And I remember she started me at, I think it was 185 grams of carbs, and I was like, whoa, that's a lot. And then and then she's bumped me up to like 250, and I'm like, okay, like you just want me to get fat. This is what is happening here. And every single week she has bumped up my carbs, and like she said, I'm at 425, and I have lost weight. Every week I don't gain anything. It is mind blowing. And then there was even one week when I was super sick, and she's like, yeah, don't do anything. And I'm like, but I'm going away this weekend too. I'm going to be eating a bunch of crap. She's like, that's okay. And then, so it's just like, this program it's teaching me to challenge those myths that have been ingrained in me since I was a kid. You know, that carbs are bad. Like I grew up in the slim fast era. You know, you have a shake for breakfast, a shake for lunch, and a balanced dinner, and then you call that like a diet. And I remember trying that as like a kid, and it's like you're starving, but like that's what we're taught to do. So to be eating this insane amount of food is it goes against everything that I've been taught. I would have never done this on my own. Like even if somebody just told me to do that, I'd be like, you are insane. Like even my husband has lost weight from me doing this because he's eating what I eat now. And yeah, Lee's too. And it's it's really fascinating. My cardio like is crazy. And like even also through all this, like I've had injuries, and I've had to take extra days off. I used to do an extra cardio session every weekend that my powerlifting coach doesn't know about, and Lexi's like, stop doing that. And I was like, okay. And now I'm just like, cardio who? Like I don't need that extra cardio session. I'm good. You know, I'm even talking to my coach now about only doing 3 times a week because I'm having a hard time recovering. I'm past that wonderful age of 40, or I'll be 41 next week. And yeah, I need to listen to my body more. I can't just keep doing what I've been doing because it takes longer to recover now, and that's just the way it is. And so yeah, this has really been a really cool experience. And even I'm not a huge fan of the whole like taking photos of myself. It really kind of goes against everything, especially like wearing like like a thong. Like I don't wear, that's not me. I like full butt underwear, you
You
know.
got great glutes. Show them off.
But I'm just like I'm trying to like embrace the process, you know. Yeah, because I remember like the last nutritionist I went to, he had me do progress pictures too, and like I just hated it. I hated every second of it. I'm like, I don't want to do that. And I'm also the kind of person who gets super, super obsessed with numbers. Like if the scale goes up even a bit, then like I feel like it's the worst thing. But it's like with this community of women, like Lexi, you always talk about like it's okay if you gain. You're going to. That's going to happen. You're like you have your period. You're going to gain weight. If you drink like I drank like a bunch of water before one of my check-ins, and she's like, okay, so you're probably like a pound less than what you said you were, you know? And I'm just like, I don't know. It's pretty cool to like just see the difference now, and like allowing myself to eat food to fuel myself for the workouts that I do, because I've never done that before.
Beth,
Like,
I think you're amazing because yeah, really, like to go to what you've done with your physicality of the CrossFit and then powerlifting. And I think that there's probably women that are listening right now or are going to listen and go, "Hey, how come I'm not at 450 carbs? Why isn't Deborah upping my food every week to that?" And I think it's really important to point out that you have spent, even in your restrictive state, years and years and years to build muscle.
mhm,
You were
That
not
is a
a cardio junkie.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're not a cardio junkie. I mean,
no,
I was a cardio junkie. My background is very similar to Lee's. I was a competitive gymnast and a cyclist. Taught spinning for 35 years, mountain biking. It's always about being little. So your muscle, really you turned on your furnace.
I
And
had no idea it was under there.
yeah.
No, I had no idea I could build muscle, or that I could look jacked. I had no idea.
And how consistent are you at hitting your macros?
I am
Like, do you
pretty.
ever go off plan and like like when you check in, is it ever, oh yes, I was over by 300 calories this day. Like I went way over in my fats and way over in this, or then I was way
No,
under. And do you
it's
just
like
throw in alcohol ever?
no drink. I don't drink at all.
Okay, so that's another thing, ladies that are listening. They have to realize that your consistency, because Lexi's sitting there like shaking her head, no,
Yeah.
no,
Yeah, like the times that I do say like I'm gonna go out for dinner or something, Lexi and I have a chat, and then it's like, hey, how are we gonna focus on this and this, cut out this, and then eat what you want the rest of the day. Eat what
beautiful.
you want for dinner, and then it's like I try to challenge myself to allow myself to like go out and have a burger and fries every now and again. I just don't do it like during the week. I'm very regimented. I know what I'm having every day. I and honestly, the key to it is meal planning and meal prepping. Like
Hmm.
honestly, yes, it takes a lot of time, but it once you get into the groove of it, like my husband hasn't cooked a meal since I started this thing. He hasn't cooked a thing. It's just been me. It's just been me doing it. Like he'll barbecue some stuff if I need him to barbecue like a big flat of chicken, but that's about it. And then I just take care of everything, and then I freeze it. I cook it, and I'll weigh out the meat and put it in a little bag, and then I've got it for whenever I want. I can just pull one out, and then it's like that's lunch for today. I'm like I never go to the fridge and there's not food ready for me. Otherwise,
All
that's when I go for garbage.
Yeah. All three of these ladies are, I'm going to say, in the top 10th percentile of how consistent of all the women that I work with. And for a lot of them, it's the under eating aspect where I'm like, you eat a little bit more. Or they're the ones that are showing up and pushing through, being like, I'm sick and like I only got 4 hours of sleep, but I'm still going to train. It's like, no, these are the ladies that I have to pull back in terms of output and like nutrition wise. They're super consistent. I would say like if the month is 30 days, their macros are off plus minus 5 grams, and it might be like plus minus 10 grams instead, like maybe 4 days in a month. And that is why I
Mm.
can apply the metabolic science. Like we as Lady the F Up coaches,
Yep.
that is our specialty, but the consistency needs to be there for the science to be able to work. Otherwise, it's like, okay, try it again. Try it again. Okay, this process isn't working for you. What's another system that you can be consistent? So, yeah, it just is like these ladies work. They pre-plan ahead of time. They lean on each other for recipes and communication, and that's why they're able to see the results that they are.
Another
Lady,
thing I make sure of is also that I don't put myself in situations where I'm going to eat things that I know I shouldn't eat. And if I'm going somewhere, like Lise does this all the time, she brings her own meals, and like that's what you have to do, and that's okay.
mhm. I think it comes down to, again, your priorities, your comfort level, and your goals. And no one should ever make anyone feel by showing up with their own food that you're obsessive or you're restrictive or you're. I will, when I have clients that tell me, I don't think I'm going to be prepared to do that. I have a teenage daughter. I don't want people seeing me weighing. And I'm going, well, why don't we reframe it in your mind from a negative to a positive, that we're ensuring that you're hitting your protein, that you are actually eating enough so that you have the energy and the fuel to go about your day and make the hormones that you need and build the muscle and the bones. But we tend to always go to the negative and go, oh, it's so obsessive. No, it's not. You know, why is it better to eat shit than to bring good healthy food?
I
You
think
know,
people are jealous.
I think you're right. I think it really does speak to them.
Yeah, because they're
Yeah.
like, "Ugh, who is she to bring her own food? Oh my God.
Yeah, it's true. And
Yeah,
it's sad. Like it's sad that even as I get older and older, I'm like, oh my God, when am I going to get out of high school?
never.
Never.
One of the things that these three do really well, as well as communicating regarding digestive issues. So all of them started with me bloated and gassy. And I was like, yeah, probably no, just hearing what you're eating right now, what those triggers are. And like the majority of women that come to us, they just assume that that's normal. Oh, everyone's bloated. Oh, everyone farts. You know, that's just like, that's societal norms. Just because it's common does not mean it's healthy and does not mean it is normal. So these three, all three of them, myself included, and I think you as well, Deb, we don't do well with gluten and dairy.
Yep.
And it was what, 3 or 4 weeks ago, Sherry, where I went into your food diary and I was like, why is your gluten back in your diary? And you messaged me the week after being like, oh, my itchy scalp went away when I got rid of the gluten. So sometimes we like to shit test ourselves and like sprinkle it back in and then realize how poorly our body is responding to it. And that is another reason that these ladies can eat the amount of food that they can, because previously they were eating things that caused inflammation. When you are inflamed, that makes you more insulin resistant. Your body cannot tolerate carbohydrates as well as if there was no digestive stress, no inflammation, you were fueling it with quality carbs. That can be a gluten-free bread. That can be a gluten-free pasta, but it's just picking what is the base of those ingredients. So, yeah. Beth, what do you notice regarding your digestion and like just the difference overall?
It, my husband's a little happier. He still thinks I fart a lot, but it's not as like he can be in the same room now and he's not going to die.
There's actually science to say that we do pass gas a
Yeah.
certain amount of time, and it's actually good for our blood pressure.
No.
Like to
Sherry found an article that says smelling your own farts is healthy. I don't know about
we all need a friend like Sherry.
exactly. I thought it was great.
That's awesome.
Also, another thing that's changed for me is I don't get period cramps anymore, which really kind of threw me for a loop. I wasn't expecting that little tidbit of.
Even women with endometriosis at any stage, they reduce inflammation. They're going to reduce their period pain by a lot.
Yeah, I had no idea that was going to happen.
Mood feels a lot more level in the week leading up to it as well. Cramps aren't as bad. You have more energy overall throughout like the week leading up to and during the days. Like, yes, there is going to be some rate of strength drop off or fatigue, but it's not nearly as bad. Yeah. Sherry, your skin issues that you struggled with, were they ongoing for your life up until?
Yeah, they were. I've had, I remember getting diagnosed young with eczema at a young age. My family comes from like high fatty foods, mayo, sour cream, butters, breads, that kind of stuff. And just never connected the two. And then, started after once I hit perimenopause, it started to creep up on the back of my head. And it was like I wasn't really connected to my body enough to like realize. And then once I came on with you, Lexi, and you were like cut gluten and dairy out at the beginning, and I was like, okay. And then it's like just my hands cleared up, the back of my head. I tested it a few weeks ago, like Lexi said, and tried it over the summer, and it was starting to creep back in again. It was flaring up, and then the minute I cut it out, it was gone again. So yeah, old habits die hard.
It's we'll try this occasionally or we'll have something occasionally if it's worth it and accept the
Mm,
consequences, just not
right.
part of the everyday sort of realm.
Hmm. Hmm.
Deep fried pickles are my exception,
I love deep fried pickles.
right?
Ooh, I've never had that.
Oh my
Really? Oh
God,
yeah,
you
well,
are
celiac,
missing
yeah.
out.
Yeah. Oh,
Oh yeah,
is it
you're like
battered? But I
Yeah.
can have like a
yeah,
rice flour batter.
yeah. You could like if you'd have to make your own, obviously, but
They make
the ones.
rice, they make gluten-free panko now.
Oh, then you could definitely make them.
Beth, that's something that you can incorporate in yours. Have some panko gluten-free breaded chicken to get your carbs
Mm. Oh yeah, more carbs. Oh my God.
Okay, so we're getting to the final little bit here. So I want to also open the chat to anyone who is here live, has any questions, feel free to pop them in. But my question to you guys is, what would you say is the most impactful part of having each other in your lives?
I mean, I think we get to be mirrors for each other. Like, there's stuff I don't always see that, like, Beth will call me on or Sherry will call me on. But, like, there's also that sense of, like, connection. So it's, like, both, like, being able to reflect off of each other, but also have the connection where it's a safe space where, like, you can be like, oh my God, Lexi totally told me this crazy thing today. And, like, that's not something my husband wants to hear about. You know, he doesn't care what my coach told me, how many grams of carbs my coach has suggested I eat. But like I have them to do that. But they can also like I can gently say like, hey Beth, remember when your other coach actually told you should be eating more food if you wanted to like be able to lift more and you said no? And I'm like, yeah, Lexi was right. So it's like we can kind of say those gentle things I think to each other. So in terms of impactfulness, it's like that reassurance. Like if it was just you and me, Lexi, I think I'd have more self doubt or I wouldn't be sure. But it's like nice too to have that connection with other women in who are on a similar journey, similar path, going in the same direction, where like maybe something's really hard and you can say, hey, this is really hard today, you know, or I'm struggling with this, or you know, what coffee creamer do they have that's dairy free at our local grocery store? And then I go around the grocery store and I take pictures of all the different options and send them to Sherry because she's not having dairy anymore or whatever.
I second that. It's just really nice to have people who get what we're going through. Like when I first started, I was starving and I was so angry. And I was messaging Sherry and Lisa, and I'm like, I'm fucking so hungry. They're like, tell Lexi. And I think I messaged Lexi something like that. And then she was like, thank you for sharing your feelings with me. And I was like, I was so mad. But yeah, it's just nice to have friends who get what I'm going through. And yeah, you can share little like what we do to curb hunger if you're really hungry. At first I wasn't too sure how I felt about that. But I mean, I'm not hungry anymore. So I for a while I didn't want to talk. I didn't want to tell Lise what was going on with my diet because she was on poverty carbs at the time.
Yeah, you guys were in two very different places where I was bringing her carbs way down and I was bringing yours way up.
Yeah.
I like to when we go out to eat and it's always like, Beth, how many carbs are you at this week? And Lise, what's your restriction this week? And I think it's good to also kind of like make light of it as well. And I think my favoriteest thing was like we all hung out together recently at my cottage and Lise brought her kids and Beth brought her furry kids and it was just like it was so lovely just like eating. We had chicken and we had like potatoes and we had like chopped up veggies and we had like fruits and it was just like it was normal. Like I come from a shame-based eating and so it was just nice just to sit with like Beth's family and Lisa's family and just enjoy together and fuel our bodies. It was like that's what I really like.
Normally when I go to other people's houses, it's just dairy and cheese smothered everything and desserts and alcohol, tons and tons of alcohol. And it's like when we get together, we give ourselves real food. And Sherry made the best baked potatoes I've ever had that I've been making baked potatoes every day ever since because it was so good. But anyways, also what I love is with these women is I don't feel any competition with them at all, which is something I've never had with other women before. And there's no competition and I don't feel any jealousy and I don't feel any sort of like we're just in it together. And I've never had somebody that I was like on a fitness journey with, which is a really cool thing.
You know what, Beth, that's a really interesting observation. Obviously, you guys have a close friendship, but the people that don't do well in our community meaning clients, are the ones that feel more comfortable in a drama-fueled environment. And the ones that are really looking for true connection and education and support, they thrive. They
Mm-hmm.
thrive. And it doesn't, I used to think it was, maybe profession related or level of education, but no, it's some people in their journey still need to have that,
Mm-hmm.
right? And it's not a slam against them, but those are those are typically the people that have worked with several coaches. Like they kind of jump around and they're like, oh, they're still not getting the message that they want to hear. And
Mm-hmm.
why am I having to do this? And how come this person's getting that? And that's another reason why I wanted to point out your background of building muscle, because there will be people that listen to this and go, hey, why am I still at 115 grams of carbohydrate and she's at 400 and something? But you know, that's I have a client right now who's very tiny and she's cutting on 240 grams of carbs. And you know, she's down to 1900 calories and she's in a cut and she's a tiny person. We're trying to find abs in our 50s. That's the goal. I said, well, we got to like cut if you want those abs. But when she first started working with me, she was eating 900 calories,
Oh
900
my
a day.
God.
Yeah. And then would go over and then would under eat and then do tons of cardio and yeah. And, you know, so, and she's in her 50s, but it took a while. And so you guys, you know, you're all at different stages. And that's really great that you're so supportive because we need that.
To be fair, I've done a lot of therapy, so that helps.
We have a
Please
really
as
nice
well.
comment. We have a comment from Melanie is saying, this is so beautiful to hear the positive connections you guys have with each other. Thank you for sharing your stories.
Wow. And let this serve as hope for any of the ladies that are on this call or listening to this as the podcast. If you don't have those core women in your circle right now, it doesn't mean that they don't exist. It's just you haven't found them yet. But it is entirely possible. I've created this for myself too, to have friends that accept you saying, hey, I'm going to bring some Tupperware with me, or like, oh, what are you making so I can plan that into my macros. You just have to either be patient or use the Lady the F Up community. It might not be, one person joins and then your existing friend group joins with you. But the beautiful thing is we have hundreds of women around the world that are going through the same journey. So even if it's just a virtual friendship, those are some of the strongest that we've seen in the 6 years of Lady the F Up.
And my best friend and I, well, if she tracks and everything, we've got our three places that we will go out for dinner, which is like the Keg, sure, but Impact Kitchen and sushi. Because we both go, oh, it's easy for us to plan our day. It's easy for us to track. And we like it. And we were telling, and somebody said to me, "Well, why wouldn't you guys just like relax? Like you're not doing shows anymore, Deborah." And, you know, I go, but we like tracking and we like that kind of like it's fun. It's fun for us, you know? And so again, everybody should be entitled to do what they want and people that want to move towards intuitive eating, you know,
Mhm.
that's good too.
Yeah. So thank you, ladies, for joining and sharing. And thank you for being so open and immediately saying yes and being so excited to join us for this call when I first brought it up. And just know it's a pleasure to work with the three of you. And I mentioned to Sherry a while ago, I was like, anyone you send my way, if it's in your circle, absolutely yes, I will love to work with them because something about the energy of you three that is just, it's awesome. Maybe it's the neurospicy brains that are all connecting, but know that I appreciate all of you.
Thanks for asking us.
And thank you for
Yes,
being on the
thank you.
podcast. I didn't have to write one and edit it. Like this was the easiest thing for me. Thank you for joining us. And if you like and want to share this podcast, I would really appreciate it. Hit the subscribe button. And until next time, make sure that you lady the F up.